How did you come up with the Skandor Akbar gimmick, and what does it mean?
Well, Skandor Akbar is a translation in Arabic of Alexander the Great. You know, you hear the term Allah Akbar, which is God is great. You know, Skandor Akbar is Alexander the Great. In 1966, when Fritz came back and they were having that little bit of war when Siegel was out of it, and I came through here, and there was a Middle Eastern guy, his name was Ed Halleck, and he was at KRLD for many years and television too. So Fritz went to Ed, and he said, well, and I just didn't want to be chic this, chic that, because everybody else did that.
Right.
I wanted something else that was a little catchy. And at first I said, well, Skandor Akbar, now a lot of people can't say that, but they did. And it was a little bit of a different twist. You know, we tried to come up with Lawrence of Arabia, but when you translate that in Arabic, it's just too big of a mouthful.
Huh.
But this worked out great.
What was the like in America at that point in time, in like the late '60s, early '70s? How did wrestling change with the cultural change in American society?
Well, I can give you an idea of how I experienced it. With this, every political move that was, you know, magnified in the Middle East, I got the blame for it. Really, if I had told them, really, that's not an Arabic country.
Right.
Iran is not, but you know, and when Ayatollah did this, and earlier, even Gaddafi, they blamed me for all that. But that's what the cultural mesh of this country is, and nonetheless, people want to be USA, and whereas this is the people that they like to hate. You see, the days of the Germans, most of those people are baby faces now.
Right.
Even the Russians and the Japanese. So, as far as cultural, I think the Arab situation will always be there because there's internal strife over there all the time.
So, was there any time early on in your career that the gimmick was like over too much, where you feared your safety at all?
Somewhat. You know, when this undertaking of this, I thought so many times that because I was so serious in what I did. Yeah. And today I can walk in these arenas and some of these places, and they still remember. It's like I never left.
Right.
So yes, yeah, I did. But you know, this is the way you do it. You don't. It's like a lot of times in Puerto Rico, the guys didn't like to go to Puerto Rico, which I booked that over there before, and because of the heat. But
right.
I was with that all my life, and there was a lot of hair-raising stories that happened to me.
I'm going to ask you about working for Bill Watts and stuff like that in that territory. So, I guess from there you also worked the Georgia territory, right?
I worked Georgia territory. I worked Florida. I worked up in the Pacific Northwest. So many territories.
What was Don Owens like?
Don Owens was a great guy. He when I went for him, Kovacs and Kaniski were promoting Vancouver, so I split between the two of them, and goodness, I stayed there almost a year.
Huh. Who are some of the guys you worked with up there in that territory?
Well, actually, Bulldog Bob Brown was hot at that time. Stephen Little Bear, Duncan McDavish.
Right.
Some of the folks watching me, they don't know who they are, but they were regional people, but they were over big. Don Leo Jonathan, he was a big card up there, and never left the area.
What were your initial memories of Fritz Von Erich?
Fritz, like I said, in 1966, I got to know Fritz quite well, and when I worked through here, and that's how we got the Akbar name. And as far as Fritz, I really never came back to Dallas any length of time. What I would do, since I lived in this area, if I was changing territory, say I'm going to Atlanta to Vancouver, I would stop in the home and I'd work Fort Worth and Dallas for expenses. The guys did that in those days.
Right.
But I really didn't really get into the teeth of world class until the early 80s when I was doing a lot of managerial things for Watts. Then we combined the two, and a lot of places the TVs overlapped and was really something. Very lucrative.
I'm definitely going to ask you about that stuff coming up.
Uh-huh.
In Georgia Territory, who did you work with down in that area?
Georgia Territory, the first time I worked in 1966, just before I came to Dallas and became Akbar.
Huh.
Leo Garibaldi was a booker then, and Ray Gunkel was still there. Don McIntyre had a little piece of it. And I worked Georgia several times. I went back in 1969 and 70 and 72. And before I went to New York in 76, after I came back from Australia, I went into Georgia as a base. Would they fly you into New York for your television? And I'm based out of Atlanta.
Ox Baker, I think, was there too around.
Ox Baker was my partner. And in 72, I had finished up in Vancouver, and Tom Renesto was the booker there. And I got the deal when I was going to come back. So word had come back that Gunkel had died. So I called Tom immediately to find out if everything was just. And he said, sure. So I went in there, and then Ox was there. And Ox, he's the one that really derived the heat from, I don't know if you remember Alberto Torres, the Torres brothers.
No.
See, well, they were big when Leo was booking in Atlanta, and they were California friends with Garibaldi. Well, Alberto Torres died in Omaha after working with Ox Baker, but it was a spleen ailment that probably wasn't for wrestling, but Ox got the heat for it. And then here came Gunkel.
Right.
And he was on fire then. 1972, that's when it was. And eventually they had a big split. Ann Gunkel went on her own, and Tom and then Joe Hamilton went with them, and I went with them for a while, and that was the big split.
What about Dusty? Dusty was there.
Dusty was there. Dusty's, when he started, he came through Oklahoma in 1967 when I was up there, and Dusty, we helped Dusty along. Yeah, I've known Virgil for a long time.
How was he like behind the scenes?
Dusty's a good guy, and Dick Murdoch was a very dear friend of mine too. And I remember when Dick started. See, Dick's father and my uncle were wrestling years ago in Amarillo when a guy named Dory Detton was a promoter. And Dickie was very, very close.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.